Hello and welcome to a new episode of Foodocracy for Her. I'm your host, Kalyan Karmakar. And Foodocracy for Her is India's longest running podcast featuring women in the food business. And before I go on to our guest for the episode, I'm going to share some great news for you. Last week in the FBAI Awards 2022, which is India's premier awards in terms of food content creation. And it was the 6th edition and the first time that they gave an award for podcasts. And the winner is this very podcast, Foodocracy for Her. It's really all thanks to all of you and the judges and everyone who voted. But more than that, I have a bit of a question with the name over there, and I said it while receiving the award, that while it says Kalyan Karmakar, but actually the award goes to all the fabulous people whom one got a chance to interview. And it's really, they're the ones who've run and written these stories and lived them out. I'm just the interviewer. I've just got the stories to you. But thank you very much, FBAI. Thank you very much, Vikroli Cucina and Godrej, for recognizing Foodocracy for Her. It's completely self-initiated. No studio, nothing. I just talked to people who have marvelous stories, and you have acknowledged that. Thank you very much. This means a lot to all of us. When we were at the FBI Awards, and Kanaz, in fact, my wife joined me just before the award was announced. In fact, she was the one who spotted the name being announced, because we were so excited catching up with friends. And one of the friends whom we caught up with was Shital Kakad, who runs Shital's Food Cottage, and who's a home chef. And Kanaz was telling her that how both her and my mom-in-law are big fans of the pav bhaji which Shital sends. So do I. For years, there was only one pav bhaji in Mumbai which I liked, which was that served by Ashok in Fort. But I would now add Shital's to it, and it's just absolutely fabulous. So I've been planning to interview Shital for quite some time. For various reasons, it hadn't worked out, but let's do it today. So let me go and find Shital, and I'll be back with you. So there she is, our friend Shital Kakad, and her sort of home chef enterprise, catering enterprise is called Shital's Food Cottage. So that's how you're going to find her on Instagram, SHITALS. And Shital is Gujarati. She is from Surat, if I'm not wrong, but she's a Mumbai girl. She's a Mumbai
Surat
girl.
is my mom's side is from Surat and my husband's side is from Rajkot. So that's the reason why I always say I moved from the green zone to the red zone.
Yes. So glad to have you on board, Shital. I was looking forward to this chat for a long time.
Thank you so much, Kalyan. It's always a pleasure and an honor.
Not at all. In fact, I was seeing your Instagram page and about the Debra and the Aloo combo, and I was, tempted to say that instead of doing this as a Zoom podcast, let me just go over to your house. Maybe we can sit beside each other with our two laptops and still do a Zoom while I eat. And
just come. That would have been much more better. We could have had chai and Debra.
No, that will happen. But the podcast, what the pandemic sort of made us realize, and you will also agree, that there's a lot which you can do ourselves. Yeah. So with this, with a Zoom recording or Instagram live, you and I can talk from anywhere. But if you and I were in the same room and not using this, we would still need a third person minimum to sort of record and get the same angles and this, that. And then it would take a lot of so we'll do that. But and it's for this evening I'm having a Maharashtrian multi-grain sort of flatbread, if I put it.
Thali-peeth?
Yeah, well it's a thali-peeth with the mix from Kokan Bhavan. Oh. But since our cook,
one place I have been wanting to go. In
fact, you must.
Yes, Manisha has also written so much about it. I really want to go. And
you must. So Manisha was the one who introduced me to it 7-8 years back, and very recently I interviewed the sort of owner, Devika, who runs it.
I have seen your stories and also your posts. So
now see the interview.
Yeah, I will.
But both are cooks. Like Banu comes in the afternoon and Kalpana in the morning. They're from Sholapur. So you tell
Okay.
them thali peet and they look, but you tell them dhapate, then they
Ah,
will know.
so
So
what do
so
you call it?
they call
Dhaba?
it
Dhapa.
dhapate in Sholapur,
Okay.
which is slightly different from the thali peet, but it's like they say tomato. So tell us
Okay.
a bit about Debra before we get into you. I first started at Som, and I'm a big fan of it. I've had yours as well. I've had your Debra as well.
I think I sent it to
Yeah,
you
yeah,
last.
yeah. It's beautiful. Tell us a bit about it.
So Debra is something that we make right now in the monsoon is made more with fresh makai ka atta, and in the winters we make it more with the bajri ka atta. Since
Okay.
bajri ka atta is not very easily digestible in monsoon is okay, but not now. Now again it started getting hot.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So yeah. So when it's raining, pouring, yeah, you can have it, but we try to have more of the makai ka. But right now, what I've put out on Instagram is the bajri methi debra. But I'll soon be putting out even my fresh makai debra also. And this one that I have put it is the fried one, but there is also a stir fried one. I mean the pan
A
fried
shallow
one.
fried. Oh wow.
Yeah,
Which is
and
in a
there is
sense
also
like thali peet also, no? Because thali peet at home is shallow fried, but
yeah
in restaurants they tend to do a more deep fried one because
more
of
deep fried. Yeah,
yeah.
and then there is also one in which we on the sigri
Hmm.
we also just heat it on the sigri and we make it.
So seko it. So
Yeah,
imagine now if you
like
were
we have the sigri small one at home.
uh, uh,
Yeah,
so if you could become like an artisanal cafe owner, no, you could say that
it's
coal smoked
cold. Yeah,
multigrain flatbread from regional Indian flatbread from.
yeah. I am going to come out with that very soon. Stuff
Hmm.
it on the sigri. Uh,
But
so
a bit of ghee will be there, right? If it's
yes.
Gujarati and if it's,
Yes.
and plus with
And
bajra, ghee
plus
is
with
necessary
bajra, you need to have
to
ghee.
sort of,
Yeah,
yeah.
because you will not be able to digest the bajra if
Hmm.
there's no kind of ghee in it.
Hmm.
It needs some good fat.
I mean, there's so much intricacies to Indian cuisine and different parts of it. I mean, I
Yes.
feel lucky thanks to, wonderful home chefs and friends like you who are sort of taking your cuisine and bringing it to the world that one's getting to know about it. I also like another thing on the Debra, that even the traditional Debra and what you've also put up is studded with sesame seeds. Yeah?
Yes.
And
Debra is so sesame seeds is very, very internal to Gujarati food. So there are a
integral.
few,
Mm.
yes, integral to Gujarati food. So there are a few things like, there will always be sesame seeds, mustard seeds, hing. You will always find it in Gujarati food. And even the thing that I always say that Gujarati food is not sweet. That
It
is,
can be sweet, but not always
I
sweet.
mean, not overly sweet,
Only
but
sweet, yeah.
there are places where it is overly sweet. Like
Hmm.
central Gujarat will have it overly sweet at
Hmm.
some places. But now, of course, with the changing times, it's not overly sweet everywhere.
Hmm.
But there is a reason why we had sugar in Gujarati food because the temperatures in most of the Gujarat tend to go very high.
Yes.
So when we add the sweetness, and there is always the khattapan, the sourness with it, so
Hmm.
that prevents you from the dehydration naturally.
And like you said, I mean, conditions now are different. No, I mean now people are
Now
more
they
in air
have AC.
conditioned environments
Yes,
or cars or this
yes.
versus the earlier thing which is in the flaring sun. So you can't have the same. But
Yes.
you guys, you must go and check Sheetal's page because what happens is with the addition of the sesame, which as my dietitian Ria will say is good fat and is important, is also it looks really cool. Huh? If you go and see it, it looks really like this modern art sort of thing, like a puri studded with things. But it's how it's always been made. I mean, that's amazing, isn't it? So Sheetal, tell us. I mean, how did you come to food at a reasonably later stage in your life? I mean, It was all. I mean, all of this was not there earlier, right? So how
No,
did your
I was of course always a foodie. I loved food. I loved cooking, but I will not say that I was much into Gujarati cooking when I was a kid. I was more a Mumbai girl, so you know how we were over here. We always wanted. There was a Talla Dalla. I mean, my favorite, everybody's favorite that time, Mrs. Dalit Talla Dalal, and we used to have our books, and she would introduce us to all these Western cuisines. And I was, a fan. I had each and every book. My mom had all the books, so I would go into that.
What
Read
were your
all that.
favorites? What were your favorites? Any do you remember from
I
back
think
then?
yes, an orange delight she had. It was a orange mousse, made with
Wow.
orange, the orange juice and jelly and all. Very easy. I mean, now when I see, I feel, oh my God, what was there in it? But I remember my brother, like one of my friends had come and he ate up the whole thing, And my brother, who was, I think, very young that time, he was also must be 13, 14. And he got so angry that how much did he eat up?
So your friend or brother's friend?
My friend had come over. And my brother thought, he'll at least leave some part of it. But he got so angry. So there were these things, we would try all that. My mom, so my nani, my dadi, my mom, my masis, my buas, everyone is a very good cook.
And everyone's from the Surat side.
Yeah, so my mom's side, my dad's side is from Surat side.
So which is like Kaina's, my wife and her mom and mama. That's why they like
so
the food.
Surat, the food
they're
has
from
a lot
Surat.
of Parsi influence. There is a lot of Parsi influences also in the
on Gujarati food.
Yes. There. I mean, I think we take from each other somewhere here and there.
Yeah. I mean, the Parsis have taken a lot from Gujaratis.
Yes.
Like the chutney and all of that.
Yeah. And then when I got married, my mother-in-law, she's also a very good cook. And
we met her once.
Yeah.
We met her once, yes.
Yeah. So she is from Rajkot. And my, so Mitul's dadi, she is actually, they had come down from Karachi. They stayed in Karachi. And then they came down. So there is also an influence of that, pre-partition.
The Sindh area and all of that.
Yes. Yeah. There is that. I still haven't come out with that food at all because I'm keeping that for my book.
But this is Gujarati food from the Sindh area. So there's not Sindhi food.
No, it's not Sindhi food. It's all Gujarati food. Wow. Food, which I will write about it, because that's one part of me I still haven't come out in the open. So that's how, and then there was, we had a mentor, Mitul and me, when we got married, and after 4-5 years, we have a mentor. So that's when I met him. I realized I actually don't know much of Gujarati food except for the regular roti, sabji, and I do make a lot of pizza, pasta. Like I would make the Western, like a lot of things. But
it is all Gujarati only now. Pizza, pasta, sushi, everything is Gujarati.
No, not that.
Shaslik, sizzling
everything.
brownie and shaslik.
So we are so fond of food, that's what
like Cream Center and all these places, like with the experimentation.
Sonal Ved.
Yes. I bought her book before going to Paris. That you read it.
Yeah. So I was
the samosa.
One of the posts. And she wrote some dips and khakra. She had written something. So I was like that maybe, we'll just come out with dip flavored khakras. If not already there. And she said it's already there. So I said, okay.
There's pav bhaji khakras there. I know.
There's every khakra available. There's every khakra available. So coming to that, then, when we met a mentor and I had to cook for him, I actually realized I don't know much about Gujarati food, So that's when I started digging into Gujarati food, both the sides, and I developed this. And then slowly, somehow I stopped with my, I shut down my fashion studio and I started my blog.
So fashion studio, were you a designer or were you like a business?
No, I was a designer, but
not. I didn't know this. I didn't know this about you.
That was also self-made done. I've just done BCom. I had then got married.
But I think our another friend of ours who runs, who's a home chef now. She was also a fashion designer, but self-taught.
So this same place that we have my studio, I had a fashion studio over there. Yeah, and then I shut that down and I started with my blog because my friends, my school friends and my college friends, they
And
insisted.
your blog is called?
Shitalkakad.com.
Shital.com.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I started writing, and then I met the FBAI, Saloni and Sameer, and somehow, it just,
FBAI.
yes, congratulations. We're so
Thank
proud
you.
of
No,
you.
no, no, no. Thank you. But I said, I mean, the award goes to all of you. I'm just the interviewer. Yes. Yeah.
And then, then I started coming out with my Gujarati. I had 2-3 pop-ups for Gujarati food that initially, and then it went on and on. I started taking orders.
But how did you get the idea of doing pop-ups? Because I mean, it was a fairly new idea, right? I mean,
yeah. So I think
even in Bombay and for you also. I mean, for most of us.
That I think I should give it to Vernika, because
Varnika
Delectable
Reveries. She's also been
yes.
interviewed. Yes.
Yeah. So she had one first pop-up with Hemant Mandelia.
Yeah.
And yeah, I forgot the name of their. They had a name. I just forgot that right now. Yeah. So I did it with them, and then it just followed. And then I started with the studio after 2 years. No, after 2-3 years, I had the place. So I thought I'll start with the studio and I'll do my
pop-up. We went there, in fact.
Yeah. So I had a few pop-ups over there. I will start now. Then I closed it because of the pandemic.
And you did some interesting collaborations, like with
Dr.
Manisha Talim. You did the diabetic.
We had Dr. Manisha Talim, and that was, people really loved that. You were there.
I was there. Yes.
Yeah.
Our friend my friend Harshad's mom was there.
And so she talked about the like diabetes. We talked about the diabetic food, and I made everything diabetic. Every dish that a diabetic could have, and we didn't want to make something very simple. So I had different things. Like if you remember, I had the roasted sweet potato with the tazat dip. Then I think I had misal with Karela chips.
Yes.
So I had those kind. So I have a fetish. If I see anything, any food, I need to develop something out of it.
Achha. So give me an example of once when you did something like it. Like you came across a food and developed something out of it.
Everything, I think anything that I get hold on.
But could be like something you've done recently or
recently. So I got these mushrooms, the not the shiitake, the portobello.
Yeah.
And I made a beetroot hummus with it, and then I just grilled those portobello mushrooms and I put the dip on that, and then I put a little miso over it, and yes, I made a kind of dish with it. So
not very Gujaratis.
No Gujarati miso. So I see. I'm one person. If you tell me you have a thepla taco, I will run away. I'm not against people who do that, but I don't like to mix two classics. Because taco itself is a classic, thepla is a classic. I mean, a fusion of.
Yeah, no, that's true. So you're like you're talking about Saloni and Sameer. So you also like you yourself attended many events or restaurant launches or chef's tables as a part of that. So do you remember any incident from there which sort of inspired you, or you said, okay, this is interesting, maybe like there's something for me to learn over there?
Definitely. So actually I started off as a food blogger with Sameer with the FBAI. But since I told you I'm very much interested in the food, so when I attended the Home Chefs, Home Chef Matters,
that's a lovely event they used to do.
Yes,
that's a lovely event they used to do.
The first time when I went for it, it really, I was fascinated with everything. Most of the chefs and everyone had to talk about it, and then I went into it. I did my own research and all, and I said this is something as it is. I cook with local and seasonal. Gujarati food is local and seasonal. It is very
actually any Indian food is.
Yes,
we tend to forget that, but
and seasonal food is always been I I'm against even storing food. Like abhi amras gaya to gaya. I'm not going to store like 10 kgs of amras. I will.
Sorry, I'm looking left and right because my cats.
Cats.
There is Baby Loaf. Here he is,
Oh,
right?
right.
And there is Dimki. So they were outside, but they opened the window and come in. Sorry, I'm just going to take a little pause because I have to
Yeah.
open the door
Yeah.
for Baby Loaf. So viewers are used to this place in the podcast where we take a break because Baby Loaf comes in and wants to go out. Dimki is like a good boy lying over there. And that's the story of the Finely Chopped studio. So Shital, you were talking about how you went to these different events as a blogger, and then you saw the slow emphasis which was happening on regional food, and then that sort of inspired you. So do you want to tell us a bit more about that?
So, I mean, I realized that regional food is so important, and luckily in the last 7-8 years, it has gained momentum, and I'm so happy to even see the younger generation taking a liking to it. Yes. When, I think during our times, even I was not much of a roti sabji person, I mean, I would, my brother and me would always tell my mom, make this, make that, and but now I think I'm more into the regional food, and even the youngsters, as I said earlier, they're really taking to their.
So even your nephews and all, they are into,
not much. I wouldn't say much, but they have their favorites.
Yeah. So I mean, it's good that you spoke of the Home Chef event, Home Chef Matters event, which FBAI did. I mean,
yeah.
I want to show this again, but I think that it was a lovely event, and they did 2-3 installments of it before the pandemic. So pandemic is when I think really. So not just you, but I remember also meeting Shabnam Mukadam, who used to come to the Home Chef Matters thing, and then she also started her Home Chef. And I was also telling you about the Tarka Tales range, and she was into fashion earlier, and then this thing. So before the pandemic, you were not that regular as a home chef, if I remember right. I mean, it was more the studio, the events, the occasional pop-ups. Then happened the pandemic happened, and then one day I remember you called me and you said that you've made some pav bhaji and whether we'd like some, and I said of course I would. So how did this decision happen for you to get into this? Because it's not something which you or your family has ever been in. It's a different profession. You could very well have not got into this at this stage of your life. So what made you get into this?
No, so I always used to take orders. I mean, even before the studio, I always used to take orders, but not on a very large scale.
Yeah,
I have a set clientele who will always order from me, and I was very satisfied with that, But during the pandemic, I came out with two things. My magazine, the Chai Shai or Bate magazine, because I realized that I don't know how long it will be before I could maybe gather my, a lot of people in my studio, or maybe I don't even know, like, I didn't even know when I could even start my studio again. So I wanted to still do the thing, my group, which is called Chai Shai or Bate, I made it into a magazine.
Yes.
And yes, it's with God's grace, it's doing very well. And you have been featured on that.
Yes.
And second thing I realized was during the pandemic, people wanted homemade food because everybody was busy. Most of them had no servants. And again, luckily, I had my full-time guy was there with me. And since we are just two of us, I have a lot of time. So I went into majorly, cooking homemade food, and I came out with my classics, like the Gujarati classics, which I had, the seasonal, the local ones.
Tell us a bit. See, you're assuming that everyone knows what the Gujarati classics are, local. So in fact, since people might not know what we're talking of, this is our page. So this is their brand. See those the sesame studded things I was telling you about, and chas and how, and then just before this, she had the masala fulwari.
So this
What
is
is this? This looks like tiny gulab jamuns to me. What is this? What is the
no.
fulwari?
This is
I've heard
this,
of full jhari. I've heard of full jhari, but what is
no,
fulwari?
if it's made very spicy, if you actually have the ones that are made locally, they are like full jadi only. They're quite spicy.
The
So
firework, yes.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. But
But
these are made just out of besan, and this.
Are they sweet or savory?
No, these are totally savory. No sugar in them.
Okay.
But these were made specially. We Gujaratis have what I call as a traveler's paradise. Whole, there's a whole list of traveler's paradise food. So this is one of them.
So as in when you're traveling,
you can carry these.
In fact, people hope
because
that if you're in a train, if you're in a train that there's a Gujarati family, they'll start feeding everyone.
Yes. Gujaratis love feeding. I mean,
is this Gujarati also? This wheat laddu?
Yes, that's a totally Gujarati thing that like we make it in the monsoons. Yes, we make it in the monsoons because it has a lot of the ginger powder. It has a lot of spices. It has ginger powder.
So laddu with spices.
Yes, so that is very good for the monsoons because you tend to get sick. You get to get a lot of infections during the monsoons. So one laddu a day. I mean, according to the dietitians, only one laddu a day. But then it's on you. Yeah, but one laddu a day will keep the flu away. Definitely.
I like that. One laddu a day keeps the flu away. Yeah, I mean, like for example, the Parsis have, in winter they have the thing. Forgetting everything. But it's a sort of a chawanprash, and it's for the
So we have gunka. We have a lot of things also. Yeah.
Gund is the gum, right?
Gum, edible gum. Yeah.
Now I remember one thing which you told me during the lockdown when you met the first time is that one thing which people were really craving for was the chatpata items, the things which you would eat as a part of street food, or if you go to a UDP restaurant or to, a cream center, and because that's not something which everyone makes at home, or you can't make it in small quantities, and in the pandemic there was that much more fear of hygiene. So you started doing that, and you were telling me that that's something people really love.
Yes, there was
tell us about that.
There was this menu that I came out with. So I met, we had a Zoom with 2-3 of my friends, and they were like, "Oh, I'm missing so much of this pav vada and this and that." And
this is just Zoom adda, Zoom chatting with your friends, chit chat.
Yeah, it was just Zoom chatting. And I suddenly realized, I said, this is a big market that, I can conquer because street food is something we Mumbaikars just love. So there was this, this whole, can you see?
No, just
I don't think.
No, is it on your page? Is it on?
No, this was my menu that I came out with. It's
Google, WhatsApp it to me.
Yeah, sure.
So see, we find our ways of the Indian jugaad. So here you are, without any computer graphics. So tell us about this menu.
Okay, so this thing, as I said, I was talking to my friends, and they were like, "We are missing the Rasta ka pav bhaji and
the Amar Juice Center and all of that." Right?
So then I came out with this menu, and you won't believe I have made how much pav bhaji, pav vada.
Oh my God, your pav bhaji is so good. Your pav bhaji is so good. Yeah.
So I actually told Mitul, he loves pav bhaji. So I said, why don't we just start a thela? Rather than having a studio.
And Mitul, her husband, is a trained, and he's also training a classical sort of musician.
A pianist.
So imagine if you that's how Elko also started with a pav bhaji stall. I remember going to the stall. But imagine, if it's a Shital and Mitul sort of co-production, where he can do classical music and you can do pav bhaji, it'll become like a great idea. Imagine a Bengali cracking an idea for a Gujarati couple. But of course, being Gujarati, he will implement it. Being Bengali, I will just give you the idea. So he will do all these Western classical things, where Mithun does with all.
He
Mithun
does
does with.
even Hindustani
Yeah,
vocals.
yeah. So
So
yeah.
when it's raining,
So it's raining, and he'll do Megh
Yeah.
Mallar, and you'll be doing hot pav bhaji.
yeah, we can actually have a YouTube video for that.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. It'll become the rage. It'll become the rage on YouTube. Everyone will come and. No, but tell us about it, because your pav bhaji was, it had so much flavor. And it was so nice, and so much butter and everything between the pav. It's just amazing.
Yeah, so it's a recipe that I've developed on my own over ages, and the taste perfection goes to Mithun, because every time I would make, he would tell me, "Nahi, there's something wrong. There's something wrong. It's not exact." Raste jaisa, he'll tell me rasta ji nathi. So I would exactly
nothing.
So I would again try, do something on it, and so as I said, it's him. Because
I remember, like, whenever my mom-in-law used to come home, I mean, especially in those days, it was not as frequent as now because of the pandemic then. And now also she comes often to look after the boys. But every time she'd be there, I'd send a message to Shital, then Mommy's coming, please.
you should. Why don't
No,
you?
I always do. So I mean,
it's just last 2 months.
She sends 2-3 buckets of pav bhaji.
I don't.
Yeah, but there were also other thing I was seeing on the menu which you sent. So there's tawa pulao.
Yeah.
So everyone knows pav bhaji in Mumbai, but the reality is, if you go to a pav bhaji stall, especially during lunchtime in Fort or at the chapati and all that, there's as much tawa pulao being made as pav bhaji, probably more. So, Shital, do you want to tell people a bit about tawa pulao? Kya hai? I don't think people outside of Mumbai and of course Gujarat and all of that really know that. But everyone knows pav bhaji.
Yeah. So tawa
pulao. But no one knows tawa pulao. But so do you want to tell a bit about
that? Tawa pulao and bhaji, if you have it, a combo is one of the best combos in the world. So tawa pulao is made with all the masalas that we make. We put in the bhaji with a little, bhaji inside, and a lot of coriander leaves, fresh coriander leaves and all. And it's not like a biryani. It's not the chutta. It's more like a
sticky.
Yeah.
It's like a Japanese sticky rice. And again, if you were like a artisanal cafe, you could have said, Indian Japanese sticky rice. It reminds me a bit. It reminds me a bit of the Maharashtrian masala bhat. Do you think that there's a relation between the two, or it's just coincidence?
It could be anything like a masala bhat, but it's more like a pav bhaji flavor.
I mean, the masala bhat is more dry.
Yeah,
this is more tomato, more.
Yeah, and when you put
but similar in terms of small grain rice.
No, this again has it's long not grain. Small grain. Actually, I use whichever's there. It's nothing like. But the thing is, when you put the bhaji inside, and then when you put a little more of butter and have it together, it's like heaven.
And the Gujaratis will make sure that there's a lot of butter. The Maharashtrians are a bit Spartan, so they will have it with thecha, which is pounded chili, while the Gujaratis are like all about the good life.
Yeah, this is a totally Mumbai thing. I don't think it's even a Gujarati thing. It's totally
No, it's only in the and because I used to work in office areas like Diamond Point and Fort, that I've seen it and I've had these things. I don't think today's generation of people who are in their 20s and 30s, and who work in all these modern places and stuff, they don't even know about these things or the origin of it. They might have had tawa pulao at
Diamond Point and all. They have these small telas who actually have a lot of all these things.
I mean, often when I go at lunchtime for pav bhaji, there are more people having tawa pulao because it's lunch, no? So chawal, rice.
Actually, these people on the streets, when they make something, I actually go. So it's again a fetish. When I even travel abroad, so every non-vegetarian dish that Mithun must have eaten, I must have come home and made a vegetarian dish out of it.
Does he like it?
Yes, I mean, okay. Except he tell me there's no meat juices in it. But no, I want to, try everything. Like, so that's one still part that I still haven't put up out.
Just 1 second. Sorry, I had to take a little bit of a break because our cook just said, Banu, that the thali peet atta has keeda, which is insects. I said, okay, then make poha. Okay. Yes, you were talking about, translating non-vegetarian dishes from abroad into vegetarian formats. Yeah.
So not everything. I mean, I know that certain things that would not be, I mean, you can't do everything, but a lot of things. I like to come home and there's a shepherd's pie that I make, and that really, even Mitul loves it because.
So what do you go put in sort of mincemeat over there?
You'll have to wait for a book for that.
Yeah, that's the thing about, the Gujaratis are so, I mean, they're sharp on that part. Okay, now you had another interesting dish over here. This is chutney masala pav.
Yeah.
So masala pav is also such a big thing in there. People only know pav bhaji, but if you're from the city, then you'll know masala pav, tawa pulao. So what's the masala pav about? So and you can actually go and buy that specifically in a pav bhaji stall. So instead of that, you can buy a masala pav, and they'll give you that. So tell us about it.
So masala pav is my personal favorite. As again, I said, this is a Mumbai girl talking. Because, when I go even abroad, the first thing I land on the airport and I will go to Amar Juice Center and I have my pav bhaji, not even my pav bhaji, I'll have my masala pav. I love my masala pav, and that's what I have given in my menu, and I have developed my recipe for it. And it doesn't have any of the bhaji in it, but there's a lot of bhaji flavor which goes into it. And very little aloo, there's not much of aloo, but a lot of, again, tomatoes and garlic and onions and all that. And you just splutter a lot of butter and that masala on the pav, and you make it like a chutney pav.
In fact, this is a very Gujarati thing and across communities, because if you go to Bori Mohalla and if you go to the Bori run places or the Gujarati Muslim run places who do the kebabs and the tawas and masalas and all that, this practice of taking like a soft naram pav and putting it on the tawa and you're taking up all the the flavors, this tawa soaking in the tawa is a very, very Mumbai thing, like you said.
Yeah, that's a very Mumbai thing. Yeah.
So that I mean, like a lot of this comes out of the tawa, which is like thick iron cast things, and then so flavors. So isn't that a bit difficult to replicate at home? Or do you have a cast iron sort of stuff?
I have, but not like them. I mean, of course not.
I mean, of course.
But I have a cast iron tawa. But the thing is, once you have your masalas right, I think you've won 90% over there.
True, and in your case, I mean, the masalas will be right. And what might, I mean, no matter how much I love street food, but I mean, the colors and the the spices and the soda. Or even today when I was walking back home from the banks and I saw that they were getting the shawarma ka thing ready, and I was thinking that why is it that in Mumbai they do it right in the front of the shop, because here there's so much of dust. I mean, what's the need for it? But Shital, one thing which I noticed was that with time, though, as we settled into the second year of the the lockdown, when it became a bit more infrequent, but second year pandemic and all that, you started doing a lot of the regular home food thing in your menu. And I'm just going to show something which you put up on your page, which is actually something which is from a thing called Finely Chopped. But you sent your menu one day, and I was trying out.
Fajeto and so my amras.
So tell people about the fajeto. I mean, amras is fine, but I mean, this thing, but fajeto was something very new for me.
Yeah.
So tell me a bit about
it. So now the mangoes are gone. But fajeto
this is the fajeto.
Yeah, that's the fajeto.
So nice,
this is more like a amras curry. But the fajeto is more like a soup. It's made. So the story behind the fajeto is that when the ladies would make the amras, so we don't when we make the amras, we actually press the mangoes, in round and round, and then
so
remove the pulp out of it.
Yes, yes.
And then we soak the skins and the seed in water. And then that is all again squeezed to remove as much pulp as possible.
So it's like, it reminds me of like when we were growing up, like toothpaste ko last bit ko
Yes,
kaat ke to get that.
Bas,
You know,
वो जो last toothpaste भी रहता है ऐसा, वो
you
last
squeeze it
आमरस भी है.
out and get out the last little dot. Yes.
Just 1 second. Huh?
Yeah.
Nahin. Sorry.
No, that. So we were talking about the squeezing out of toothpaste and squeezing out of amras.
So that.
What will the West teach us about zero waste? Yeah, know, nowadays, people get very excited. Have you heard of zero waste?
If you go into Indian culture, I think we have everything. Yeah. We have everything. Yeah.
Especially the Indian mother. If you do any waste, then tapak.
Tapak, yes. Even Indian fathers. My dad was like that. In fact, my mom is very cool, but my dad is. So that's what everything, it was squeezed out, and that water, it becomes like thick gravy kind of amras. And out of that, we make a soupy kind of curry. And we add ginger powder, cloves, cumin and everything, and a little of besan. That fajeto will not have any yogurt, but the fajeto curry will have yogurt. And
is it meant to be had hot, the fajeto?
Yes, absolutely.
Because it sounds like very this thing, like with cloves and ginger.
With our be padni rotli. So which is, I think I sent you those, those thin.
Which is the rotli sort of, so to speak.
Yeah, so it's like it's a be padni rotli. So it
so
comes.
What does that mean? Be means
when we are rolling the rotis.
2 layers.
Yeah, we have 2 layers stuck on each other.
Yeah.
And then when we sekao it, we remove the both of them, and that's how it's made.
So 2 rotis come out of 1.
Yes.
Okay.
So that is one thing that is a must, I think, in most Gujarati homes for the whole of these 2 months.
The monsoon months? No, the mango months. The mango months.
Mango months.
So your menu also differs by season to season.
So
because that was in summer, now it's monsoon. So what's happening in monsoon?
I'll have kantola nu shak.
Kantola is the small teasel gourd, like you say.
Yeah. It's Karela ka bhai hota hai, chota.
Is it bitter?
Yes, it is bitter, and it's very good for health. Okay. And these are the only 2 months you get it. I think 2.5 months. But it is it's like, it's so sweetly bitter, you can say it. Really, it has a lovely taste of its own, and you don't need to add anything except for your regular masalas. Like Karela also, it's quite bitter, so you need to take out the bitterness somewhere. You stir fry it a little. You don't even have to cook a lot. You just put your regular masalas. You have a nice garam curry with it, and your roti or chawal, and you're set.
So you've tried different things. I remember at one time you were also sort of collaborating with a gym or a health club to do sort of
I did
health
that for a year.
because you were trying out different things. So what has, of all the things which you've done so far, what has given you the most satisfaction? What is it that you've enjoyed doing the most?
I think everything in its own thing, but when I worked with the gym, it really interested me a lot because they were into keto. They were totally, so I had to give them like a tiffin kind of a thing, which was for 3 times a day.
And vegetarian.
And vegetarian, yes. And a keto diet, which was vegetarian. That was really, it was very challenging for me. Because to have a vegetarian keto diet, and that also 3 times a day, and I did it for almost, I think, 6 to 8 months.
Wow.
Yeah. And we did not repeat a lot of things.
Wow.
So I tried every cuisine possible in that. and that was, of course, global.
Yeah, because I mean, of
Yeah.
course, that's not a.
Yeah.
I mean, there the focus is keto and health and vegetarian. It's not
Yeah.
Gujarati.
That
So
was
that must have been quite challenging trying out. So
very
how was the feedback to that? How was the reaction to that?
good. I mean, they all liked it. So that's the reason it went on for 8 months.
Yeah, I mean,
And
that's
then,
a long time in a tiffin service for a point
And
of view.
then, of course, the pandemic struck. So we had to shut all that. But anyways, I was going on to something else anyways, because, it was getting very taxing for me with 3 meals a day. If I would just do that, I could not do my other things. And I love my recipe development. That is one thing that is very close to me. And now, in fact, I am again going to start focusing on my blog, because that is one thing which I have neglected in this whole 3 years.
Yes.
And I want to go back to that.
Beautiful. And in terms of the food which you're doing, the Gujarati food which you're doing, who's your clientele? Is it more Gujarati folks, or is it like a mix of Gujarati, non-Gujarati? Do non-vegetarians order from you regularly? Tell us a bit about that.
Yes, non-vegetarians also do, because but the non-Gujarati ones, because for them, what I have seasonal food is very different. They haven't tasted it. Of course, the Gujarati ones will order more of the festive ones, because for them, the everyday food is what even
they're
make.
making it at home. Yes.
So it's not what they would order, but I have a lot of the festive things. Like in Diwali, I do a lot of these gugras, the mawa. My one thing is, I will not use mawa, outside mawa, in anything that I do. I make everything.
So you make your own mawa?
Yes.
The reduced
everything.
Milk, and that's quite an effort, right? To make your own mawa.
I do not use outside mawa at all. So that's the reason I get a lot of orders for gugras and chorafali and all that. We make everything at home.
Wow.
Yeah, so that all Gujaratis.
And also, when I go through your menu, when I try them, when I see what you're doing on Instagram, I think that a lot of people who are now getting more and more aware of what goes into the food, the health benefit of it, eat local and all of that. I think that from that point of view, also, it should interest a lot of people. Like, for example, one hears of, say, like you said, I mean, the Tissel board or Jawar Baja and all of this being good. And then here's someone who's actually then doing recipes with that. So it's actually an opportunity for you to try it out, even if you don't make it yourself.
In fact, I'm even thinking of contemplating actually whether I should start classes. Because once I start my studio, I will start with my classes, because I just came across a friend's daughter, who my friend, she just doesn't want to learn making rotis from her mom. So she's like, you start classes and you can teach her rotis, And I started making rotis when I was just 6 or 7.
You?
Yes.
Why?
That's how Gujarati households are.
Oh my God.
I mean, no, it wasn't torture, but I used
not torture, but back home in a Bengali household, I think only when I was in college or something would my mom allow me to use the matchstick.
No. In the kitchen. Gujarati households, I don't know about today, but when we were younger, most of us were in the kitchen, at least if nothing, like I would even think a 4 or 5-year-old girl, at that time, I don't think a lot of boys went in the kitchen.
Is that changing?
I think so. I mean, I have a lot of my cousins and my friends who know to cook, and they actually cook. I do think that is changing now. So when we, you will see even a 4 or 5-year-old girl, like a small kid, taking a roti from her mom and giving it to her dad. Or when we went, and there was this thing called, it was huge in my house, my mama's house. We used to go to my mama's house, my nani's house, and we were like a big bunch of cousins. So we all would love to make something, and my mamas were very loving. My nani was very loving. We had all masis and mamis and all. So, how Guju families are, huge families.
No, but such a lovely sort of, atmosphere to grow up with. And in a sense, I think that in your small way, you're trying to recreate those memories through your food, and making all of us a part of your family, and that's really lucky for us. So what next, Shital? What would you like to do? I mean, what are your dreams
think
in terms
now
of food? What would you like
my
to do next?
dream is to now come out with my book very soon. But I want to not write a regular, just a recipe book. So I am thinking on those terms, like it could be like a story and a recipe, something like that, because I want to make it interesting for the reader. I just don't want somebody to read a recipe and then cook. Okay,
Yes,
everybody
yes.
does that.
Yes.
But so that's the reason it's taking some time, because I want to make it a little interesting. But hopefully, maybe by next year, I should be out with it.
That's fabulous. And do we have
And
any?
I have to go through it before anybody else.
Yes, but as long as as I'm going through it, the dish is also there, because if I start reading the book and then I get hungry and the dish is not there.
Don't worry about that. And the one thing good is you're very nearby to me.
Absolutely. Both in distance and heart.
Yeah, absolutely.
So and will you be opening the Jugalbandi stall with Mithul with classical music and pav bhaji? It could become a hit at NCPA.
I think that for that I'll have to invite you for dinner so that you can tell this to Mithul, because I don't think he'll listen to me.
Anything for good pav bhaji. So folks, that is Shital Kakad. We are lucky to have her in Mumbai and very close by also. But if you look up her social media pages, it's Shital's food corner and Shital's Cottage, right? So which is the one to order? Because she's got two pages. So Shital's Food Cottage is where she puts up her regular menus and all of that. You can place orders there for yourselves or for your loved ones, or maybe even people you don't love that much, but if you want to make up with them, you can have some good food.
Is, I think that's the only thing that can even get across borders. Food.
People together. Yes. I mean, food is what got a Rajkot and a boy and a Surat together. Great. Lovely chatting with you as always, Shital. Hope to meet you soon sometime.
Yes.
But keep smiling and just be happy.
Thank you so much, Kalyan. And thank you for having me here. It's been my pleasure and lovely talking to you always.
Thank you. Absolute pleasure. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.